YouTube, and welcome to Flash episode 105, titled Plastique. This is a very good episode. It showed a lot more of Barry's powers, what he can do with them, and also set the stage for one of my favorite Flash villains. So let's go ahead and jump into it right away with number 5. Joe knows that Barry loves Iris. Of course, it's very obvious that Barry has feelings for Iris. But as a typical best friend, Iris is kind of blind to it. I don't know what it is. Girls tend to be blind to that kind of thing. Best friend liking him. I don't know what that is. But for now, Iris is blind to it, but Joe's known for a long time. And we see that Joe wants Barry to be with Iris. Joe tells Barry that I've been waiting for you to tell her, but you just never have. So it'll be interesting to see if Joe ends up pushing Barry toward, telling Iris in the future, but for now they're just Barry's friend zone, and Iris is clueless. Number 5, Plastique as a character. A new metahuman is introduced this episode, and this time the metahuman is kind of a human bomb. Anything she touches turns into a bomb. The first time we see this, really in action, is when she touches Barry's emblem, and it starts to glow purple and it starts to spread. And Barry has to run, and he outruns the explosion. He's running, and he's running, and it blows up, and he keeps going, and he barely escapes the little explosion that it causes. Sorry. And it finds out the cause of this is, of course, the particle accelerator explosion. But she used to work in the military, and there was shrapnel inside of her, and the particle accelerator explosion, the blast radius, caused the shrapnel in her body to form with her genetics, so the shrapnel became part of her DNA, and so that's why she can make bombs by just touching something. And this would have been a really cool ally to have. Barry is trying to make her an ally throughout the entire episode, but unfortunately at the end of the episode she dies of being shot by what's going to be reoccurring, not really villain, but kind of antagonist. I know those are kind of synonymous terms, but when I say antagonist, I mean someone who kind of butts heads with them, but isn't really a full-fledged villain like Captain Cold, or Heatwave, or Anti-Flash, or whatever. But she does die, and she's trying to tell Barry something, that Harrison Wells told her to go kill the guy that ends up killing her, and she's trying to tell Barry that, but it ends up she dies, and then her body starts to decompose, and she's about to explode, so Barry has to run out, run her away from the city, and she blows up, which will lead into my number 2. But first, let's talk about number 3. Flash talks to Iris. Iris is merely speculating about the Flash up until now, and she started to blog, and in this episode she now puts her name on the blog. Before it's been anonymous, now she's put her name to it, which can cause big problems. And as we know, you can't tell the people you love about your superpowers, because that puts them in danger. So now that her name's out in the things, Flash's enemies might think that she knows who Flash is and kidnap her, and that can cause problems. So Flash confronts her and talks to her and tries to get her to stop, but she doesn't. Which now leads into my number 2. Of course, they've known each other since kids, so Iris would know Barry's voice. So to do this, he has a voice modifier. At first I thought it was something like Arrow, where it's just kind of a voice modifier, he switches it on, and it's like a mic or something, and it changes his voice. But he is vibrating his vocal cord, so it's a really, I don't really know how to describe it, but it was really cool. Barry shows Joe the little trick, and it just cracks Joe up. It's really funny that he can do that, but I think it'll become really helpful as the show goes on, and he has to talk to other people, but he can't really use his own voice. Which might be what he uses when he talks to his dad, because after episode 1 we got a screenshot of the Flash talking to Barry's dad in prison, over the little phone thing, but that hasn't happened yet. So we might see that little voice vibration to come back when he talks to his dad. Also part of number 2, a couple of other things about Barry's development of power. To get rid of Plastique, he runs out across the water and away from the island, not from the island, from the city into a big ocean. I don't know where Central City is, on a map of the states. I'm assuming it's on the coast. There's a huge ocean, and he runs her out on it and it blows up. So now he can run on water. So he can vibrate his voice to make it sound different, he can run on water. He can't get drunk because his metabolism is so fast. And at one point, Caitlin makes this alcohol that's like 50% proof, I think, what she said. And it gives him a buzz for a few seconds, then it goes away. But regular alcoholic beverages don't phase him at all. He like takes at one point like 10 shots. I think it was like bourbon or scotch or something, and it doesn't affect him at all. His metabolism is so fast that it metabolizes the alcohol much quicker than anyone else would. So he can't get drunk normally. So those are three things. He can now run upside buildings. He learned to run upside a building to catch someone who's falling. So that's cool. You can do that now. Although we did see that in the end of the pilot episode, so I guess the end of the pilot monologue was a little bit way after the pilot. I don't know. And we've seen this before. We saw it in episode 3. Yeah, episode 3, where Flash like vibrates his face, but that is used a lot more in this episode to hide his face from Iris, to hide his face from a couple other people. He vibrates his face so it becomes like all blurry. So we're just seeing him learn how to use his powers differently. And next episode we'll see him use his speed to boost the strength of his punches. When he comes against, I think it's Colossus, I think is the guy's name in comics, like the steel guy, I'm not sure. We'll learn next episode. And then finally, number 1. The end. If you remember the season premiere, I talked about this, I think, in my review. At one point, Barry and Harrison was walking toward the destroyed particle accelerator, what remains of it, and they walk past a little jail cell, and we see a license plate that says Grodd. In this episode, we see a flashback of Harrison and what's his name? General Eiling, the army guy that ends up killing Plastique in the end of the episode. Eiling wants Harrison Wells to develop a serum that helps soldiers use mind control against the U.S. Army's enemies. And of course, we know the famous Gorilla Grodd from the comics. He uses power of mind control to control gorillas and turn people into gorillas. And we see him in this episode. We see the gorilla in the cage with the license plate that says Grodd on it. So, we do see the Grodd character being developed, and we do know he will be getting mind powers. Because of what General Eiling wanted him to, what he wanted Harrison to do. So that'd be really interesting. We have gotten confirmation from the writers and the directors and whatnot that Grodd will not be a villain in this season, but there is a great possibility that he will be next season, is what they have officially stated. Now, that was also before Flash gained 6 more episodes for the season, so we may see Grodd develop a little bit more later on in the season. But I don't really think that we'll see him as a full-fledged villain this season. They want more established the human side of the metas, and the rogues. They're obviously going toward developing the rogues this season with Captain Cold and Heatwave last episode, and Captain Boomerang coming up soon on Arrow, hopefully transitioning to the Flash. So the main point of this season, I think, is Professor Zoom finding out who killed Barry's mother, and the rogues. Gorilla Grodd will probably be a prominent figure next season, which I'm extremely looking forward to. I love Gorilla Grodd. He's such a cool character. So that is all for this episode. I'm going to give Plastique a 4, just basically because of how much, it would have given a 3.5, but the redeeming factor to boost it up to a 4 is how much Flash learns how to use his powers and Gorilla Grodd cameo at the end of the episode. So until next time, I've been Epic Gamer. Don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe, and share the video to get me out and about and get more subscribers. And until next time, God bless. See you then.